Hi, everyone. My name is Beth Pensabene with Beachway Therapy Center. I have David here from Fargo, North Dakota, Burr, which is 10 degrees with the wind chill today. Hi, David.
Hello, Beth. How's it going?
Good. So we're chatting here today. David is an alumni of Beachway. He's been sober over 2 years, and he wanted to share his story to inspire people out there about what it's like to grow up in a family that was heavily into drugs and alcohol and how to come out the other end of it. So he's going to share his story. He's going to share some of the things that he does to, help him every day. And, if you have any questions, please feel free to include them here, and we'll also can circle back with him and share those answers with you. So, David, thanks for joining us. Are you in like a t-shirt? Are you a little cold in your t-shirt?
I'm in my work shirt.
Okay. So, as people from Florida know, this is quite cold, and you found Beachway how? How did you find us?
Actually, I was in towards the end of my I guess my drinking career, and family had come up to me and said, you know, gave me this time to make a decision. Um Either get some help or we're going to force you. And so my cousin, she looked up different treatments that I don't know, is warmer because I didn't want to go to treatment here in the cold. Um,
Mhm.
so she looked up a bunch of different places, and Beachway was right up there, and I said yes. And there's a long story getting down there, but I did make it. I I I got on the plane, and I had very minimal money, but I drank the whole flight. Landed in Fort Lauderdale. Beachway was going to pick me up, and I went to the bar at the airport in Lauderdale. I ran out of money. Somehow found out where I was going Beachway, and went outside and asked, went through the line of the cabs, said, "Hey, I need to get to West Palm Beach." And one of I think, but had to been the last cab driver. He said yes, and off I went. Did 63 days at Beachway in Florida, and it was, I think, the most important 63 days of my life.
So tell us a little bit about what your life was like before. So we were chatting that you grew up in a family where worked very hard during the day, partied very hard at night. You didn't really know anything different. This was just kind of the way you grew up, knowing that there was nothing, thinking there was nothing wrong with that. And how did that kind of turn you into the person that you came and the adult you became?
Yeah, so yeah, that's basically it. My family were from my dad's side of the family is from northern Minnesota on Lake of the Woods, and we've my dad moved to Alaska when, I don't know, he's my age now, 30, mid 30s, whatever, and had me in the 80s, 85. But northern Minnesota is where my brother and my little brother, we'd go back every summer. And uh, my dad, he's a state trooper, so he was never home. But when he was home, he drank. Um, he was always gone. Yeah, I used to think it was a big deal. He missed my birthday every year. It's either moose hunting or um the salmon run or caribou season. It's always starting right around my birthday. So the end of the summer, he'd always be home. He'd pack up and he'd leave and go hunting. But so I always thought that was a big deal. Well, I was kind of bummed. Dad missed my birthday. But uh, later on, I guess moving on, we would get shipped down to my grandparents for the summertime, and that's when we really worked. So we'd be cutting wood, cutting trees, getting firewood for the winter, building docks, doing whatever, all kinds of stuff. There's cabin work, um, mainly firewood for winter times. So it was always hard labor, but at the end of the day, we'd, have a great meal. Everyone would be sitting around, and of course, beers would be flowing. And so it is no big deal for us kids, all us cousins, whatever. We'd drink too. We'd have a beer, and eventually we'd steal beer. We'd steal the hard alcohol, and we'd do kid stuff, and that's how it started. Growing up, I was very athletic, played hockey, very you know, I guess social, not an introvert, but not an extrovert. Uh I wasn't a jock, but I fit in. I fit in, but nothing crazy. So I think the first time I got really drunk, I was 13 and stole my buddy's parents' bottle of gin. And I thought it was awesome. My buddies, they were like, "Oh, that's so bad. You can't do that. You can't do that." I don't know. I think I got a kick out of it. Not just the inebriation, but you know, the the stealing, I guess. The bad. I got a kick out of it. And so it just slowly progressed. I just continued to drink, and being an athlete, hanging around other athletes, we did a lot of partying. So I was always, you know, partying it up. I would work every day. That's no matter what. School, I would go to school. That was my work.
Mhm.
Then after school, and grandparents would made me do something, or dad said you got to have a job, you got to do
Mhm.
something. So always worked, but so I was able to afford, you know, my drinking. And yeah, so yeah, growing up, always around alcohol because everyone worked just the same. You always got to do something, and at the end of the day, you can do whatever as long as you get up and go to work. No big deal.
Mhm.
No matter what. You go to
Mhm.
jail, we'll get you out of jail. You have to go to work tomorrow. Um,
So it was actually it was considered part of your normal life. Like it's okay if you go to jail, it's okay if you get in trouble as long as you go to work. It's
and
okay if you get caught drinking,
as long as you
as long as you
contribute.
go to work. That's what was kind of instilled in you.
Yep. Not if you're late, that's no good.
Mm.
So you gotta feel guilty about being late. You gotta feel guilty about not showing up. So I never had an issue with hangovers. Never had.
Well, even you said when you got to Beachway after you said on those flights and then going to the bar, and then
Hmm.
you were able to meet with the Beachway staff and have full conversations, walked in fine,
Yeah. It
even
was,
after all.
yeah, hours after leaving
Wow.
the bar. And yeah, I was drinking the whole day though. So it was, I don't know. I guess at that point in my career drinking, it was, towards my body needed it.
Hmm.
It wasn't a,
Well, you were closer to 35, 36, right? That's
yep,
been 20 years of this.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was something else. I
But it's a real inspiration to people because there's a lot of people out there like you who are showing up for work, they're showing up for their kids, they're showing up, but they're not like they're half a person, right? They're not even like a full person.
yeah,
Um, they think they're fooling everybody. And it sounds like your situation, you weren't fooling anybody because everybody was doing the same thing, I guess. Everybody was handling it the same way. Um, but sometimes it's the fact where people think that they can fool everybody, you know? Um, tell us a little bit about the turning point. So you were doing this from when you were, 13 years old up till you were 23 or so.
yeah,
And then a traumatic event happened and it really went downhill for you.
yeah. So I I was a pro alcoholic, like you say, hiding it. I
Hmm.
I think that kind of pro alcoholic hiding it, thinking I was getting away with it, but I probably wasn't. And
Hmm.
I did for a lot of people, but the people close to me, they knew, you know, they knew I drink right away in the morning. I don't know, I got out of the army at 23. My brother died at 25. And in those 3 years, it went from, you know, oh, he can drink some beers to, oh man, he needs to change something. He's drinking too much.
Hmm.
So then I quit hanging around people because
Hmm.
they would limit me. They would make me feel like I got to limit myself or something like I was uncomfortable because they thought I was drinking too much. And so I didn't hang around my best friends and people I love, people I cared about because
Hmm.
I didn't want them to tell me not to drink because that would anger me, that frustrate me. Say, I can do whatever I want. I'm
Hmm.
not affecting you. So I I just kept myself away from that. And I went deeper and deeper and more alone and more alone, more alone and more alone
Hmm.
until I was working to drink,
Hmm.
basically. No kids, no wife, no real serious anything. It's
Hmm.
just I'm out
Are you
here
still getting up for work every day?
every day. I
Hmm.
I would feel guilty not, and I had to have that paycheck so I
Hmm.
could drink. So it was towards the end, if I didn't have a six pack before work, I couldn't hold a cup of coffee.
Hmm.
So it was necessity
Hmm.
more than want toward the end.
Hmm. It was your rock bottom, it sounds like.
And I don't I think Paratosh said it.
Hmm.
There's no rock bottom. You can always dig deeper.
Hmm.
And that's another thing that I've learned at Beachway. You can always dig yourself deeper.
Hmm.
Um and on all kinds of stuff
Hmm.
financially. Um, friendships, relationships,
Hmm.
food, everything. I don't know. I could ramble and ramble and ramble.
Yeah, you're not rambling. I mean, I think there's a lot of people who feel the same way as you,
Yeah.
who are just stuck. in that kind of spiral of just trying to keep it all together, just to keep it going, not really for anything else, but just to keep it going.
And that's exactly what it
Yeah,
was. I was working to drink.
right. And your family finally said to you, you got to go.
Yeah, they made me make a decision,
Hmm.
and I'm glad they did.
Was that the first time they asked you?
I think they were saying it and saying it, but it wasn't like you need to make a decision now. Like
So,
you have 24 hours.
so what was the decision?
Either we're gonna put you in treatment or we're gonna take you to a drunk tank,
What's a
or
drunk tank?
I think it's they put you in jail so
Mm,
you till you sober up till
okay.
you, and I forget what it's called, Baker Act maybe.
Oh, Baker Act. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Hmm. That's
so.
correct. Yeah, that means they're just gonna, it's for your own safety
Yeah.
to
And
bring
I
you.
knew that if that happened, I wouldn't talk to anybody ever again. And I didn't want that.
Hmm.
But I also knew that, this is only four places you go, and I wasn't gonna hurt anybody. I was just gonna drown myself in alcohol.
Hmm.
And I knew that that was a conscious decision when my
Hmm.
brother died that okay, nothing left now. So I co- consciously, I knew I was killing myself. Every case of beer I bought, every bottle I bought, it was a conscious decision, and I had definitely given up. So by my cousin saying, "Hey, now's the time," and it was like a eye opener and kind of like, oh, it brought me out of that bubble. Um, I was just drifting along in my own little bubble. Um, so yeah, it wasn't even a sober decision.
Yeah.
Wasn't
Well, something inside of you said that you wanted more
in
in
yeah,
life. Whether it's a relationship with your cousin or whatever, it's just bringing yourself back, or maybe a little bit of both. But something got you on the plane,
yes.
or maybe just the fear of the alternative.
I it could have
Hmm.
been either one.
Hmm.
And it's not like I wanted to die, but I knew I was heading that way.
Hmm.
So by getting sober or trying to get sober, because I had done treatment before, and I was like, oh, I could do another 90 days sober. I'll be I'll be happy for a little while,
Hmm.
appease my family a little bit. And
Hmm.
I yeah, it was a yeah, I didn't even I just know that I didn't want to not talk to anybody because if I went to the drunk tank, I I wouldn't talk to my dad, nobody, even though it wasn't them, it would have been my cousin putting me in the drunk tank, but I wouldn't have talked to anybody.
Hmm.
And who knows where I'd be now? Who knows?
Right. So when you said that you would be able to go previously for 90 days and make some people happy, and now you've been sober over 2 years, what do you think the difference is now?
Everything. But so my whole perspective on where I'm at in the universe, not just with work and family, but mentally, um, I'm stronger, happier. I can sleep every night. I journal every day.
Mhm.
That's huge. So being able to reflect on not just how I act at work towards the guys or, you know, my attitude about work, my attitude about anything that I do. I'm conscious about it now. I think about what I say and I think about what I do. I
Mhm.
I like where I'm at. And I learn every day. I try to learn every day. I read so much. It's crazy. But I don't know. Carl Jung, Alan Watts, a lot of stuff. Like I listen to a lot of podcasts, a lot of
How is it at work? Are you at the same job?
yeah, I'm a foreman roofer for
Mhm.
we do commercial flat roofs in the Fargo area. We all the way North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota. We do commercial buildings, commercial roofs, and I have a great group of guys that I work with. Great bosses. Um, I have a wonderful job. I work outside.
Mhm.
It's
How is
physically.
how's it been different at work in the past 2 years?
I think my efficiency.
Mhm.
Um, so roofing's about speed and efficiency, but quality is up there too.
Mhm.
And so my efficiency is improved dramatically. My attitude about what I do, which is basically I pick it up and put it down and take it off the truck and you put it down in order. And then you got a waterproof system. But so it's just pick it up, put it down, and you can pay by the hour. But it's not just that. I'm I take pride in my work. I take pride in the fact that the guys they want to learn and they they'll ask me. They'll ask questions and hey Schemo, what's this or what's that?
Mhm.
I I can handle more stress. I can be put
Mhm.
in situations where it's a lot of stuff's going on, a lot of stuff. You got trucks over here, you got different guys over there. We gotta do this. We got a lot of stuff going on. So it's
Mhm.
kind of demanding for like 20 minutes, maybe an hour.
Mhm.
Super stressful. But then it's over. So those stress points, those
Mhm.
stressful times, I'm a little more level-headed than I would have been 5 years ago. Not a
Mhm.
little. I'm much more level-headed. I do paperwork. My paperwork, that's huge. All my materials, like just my job in general is so much better that I'm sober. Like
Mhm.
everything about what I do at work.
How
And
about your family? How's your relationship with your family?
so I've had to set boundaries and I've learned to set those boundaries at Beachway. Um, but it's not just for me. Like my dad and my stepmom. I was just down in Tennessee building the cabin for him, and it's awesome to get out of the cold, but
Mhm.
but it's even better to do something that I enjoy doing. And I consider myself skilled carpenter. So getting outside of what I do day to day, roofing,
Mhm.
going down and helping out my dad and you know, get out of the cold. It's wonderful, but I can't drive. I have 5 DUIs, so when I go down there, I'm kind of stuck. We're way out in the boonies. It's like 45 minutes to Walmart, but it's I was just work, 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 work.
Hmm.
And so Amber, my dad's wife, she'd cook, right? And my dad didn't want to cook because when he was there helping, he does 2 on, 2 off. And so his 2 weeks off, he'd come down and help me with the project. So his wife would come do the cooking while we're working, which is awesome. Very grateful. But just negativity all the time. My dad, he's just like my grandpa, just like my uncles. That we're all the same. We've always butt heads. So it was just this cumulative, not negativity, but just this always worried about tomorrow or next week. And it doesn't exist to me. Next week, in theory, that's what's going to happen. Tomorrow, in theory, we're going to get a delivery at 10, but that's not, I don't, I think I told my dad multiple times that tomorrow doesn't exist. It's all about today. And so at the end of the project, I said, that's it. I'm not going to help you anymore. Appreciate all the food, all the, you know, we didn't golf. Well, we did golf. We did golf. My very first day down there. Went fishing once, but I had 294 hours of work, which is on my time off. Come on. But so setting boundary was tough, but it was necessary. So I'm very cordial, respectful, and grateful to my dad and Amber, but there's no desire for me to be put in that situation where I have to do whatever you need me to do, or I can't do this or that. I can't watch this. I can't listen to that. So boundaries, they're
And
there.
boundaries are huge. I mean, not just with your dad, but with your other friends. Are you able to go back to your other social networks that you had prior to 2 years ago?
So there's no reason to.
Okay. Their
It was
cousins and everything?
yeah. I talk to my family that wants to talk to me.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, I have. So like social media was like, oh, here's what I'm doing. It's like, oh, look at me, look at me. I don't need a.
Do you feel like you have a support system out there now?
Oh yeah.
Okay, what's your support system now?
So my dad, he's there for me no matter what, right? All my family, they're willing to help no matter what. Not and being sober, that's huge. That otherwise, if I wasn't sober, they wouldn't do anything for me because I, did it to myself and got to get myself out of it. But being sober, I think they'll be, a little more willing to help. And I would like to say that I don't need their help, but right now I know I don't, which is wonderful.
Liberating, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the letters that you wrote to your brother and your grandma when you were at Beachway.
So they were like a project that I had to reflect on, I guess, after the fact. Like, I had to reach inside and, I was feeling things and I had to describe, uh, I had to say goodbye, and I had never done it. Uh, so it was a lot of feelings, a lot of emotions that I had bottled up, I guess, for all those years, and being able to release those or let them out, not release them, but just let them show was tremendous. Um, my first letter was to my brother, and he was my best friend. We went through everything. We were hiding under the bed and hiding in closets, thinking we were adopted. Why would we be treated like this? So we were through like all kinds of traumatic stuff, and best friend, best friend, and it was the hardest thing in my life. I was working out in Point Lake, Alaska, so way, way up above the Arctic Circle. And it was a 54-hour trip to get to northern Minnesota. So to get back to his funeral, um, really, really tough on me. But it was, I don't know. Having that written that letter, I wouldn't be able to talk about my little brother like I do now without writing that letter. Um, I don't know how to explain it. My grandma had I wrote a goodbye letter to her too. She kind of raised my brother and I. We were separated from our mom when I was 2. My brother's just born. Uh, yeah, my brother's raised by my grandma and grandpa. My dad took me by himself, and I stayed in Alaska. My brother, he was raised in northern Minnesota with my grandparents and the rest of the family. So I never really had a mom figure besides my grandma. Um, so that was real tough. She died in 2015, a couple days before Christmas. She's going to a Christmas party in Lake of the Woods, and she's carrying a casserole up the steps to this restaurant and had a massive heart attack and died. Another devastating time, but I was already down that rabbit hole of alcohol, drowning myself. And so at the funeral, seeing family and stuff, I was already gone. So it was a totally different impact on the when my grandma died and when my brother died, but it's very important people to me, both of them. Uh, so having those letters and I don't, the letters weren't as important as I think reflecting. I guess that process was open the door to me processing the emotions and having that same safe space, and you know having the time to be able to reflect, and because otherwise I'm always doing something, I'm always working, fishing. Even when I was drinking, I was always doing stuff. So I never I was able to process, and I didn't know how. I didn't know there are tools. I didn't know that there's tools to reflect, to process. I had no idea. So thank you.
Well, I'll let them know. I'll let Brian know that you said that. I know that'll mean a lot to him. He was your therapist, correct?
Yes,
Yeah. Um, and you were telling me that once you wrote those letters, you just felt so much lighter.
yes.
Yeah.
It like not just a ball of energy, but like a radiating
Mhm.
gratefulness of, I don't,
That's such a nice visual.
it's like a just peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, it's very inspiring for people because, imagine yourself 5 years ago, even being able to say that, like even that being an option for you.
Never.
Right. And there's people who, really don't feel like there's any way they can get out of this hole. So it's so inspiring to talk to people because there is, even for you, where it's been since you were 13 and now you're 38. So you were 13 to 36. It's a
Mhm.
long time
Long time.
and a lot of
Yeah.
trauma as a small child and trauma as an adult. So I do think it's really helpful for people. And I appreciate you taking the time to chat with us today and share that story. Is there anything else you'd like to say to our community, before we sign off?
I guess be honest with yourself. Um I think you know that you can't lie to yourself. There's it is what it is. Um you no matter where you go, there you are. The It's all about perspective. If you can change your perspective, I think anything is possible, whether it's your point of view or opinions. I think it's all about perspective.
Very well said. Thank you so much, Dave. We really appreciate it. If anybody has any questions, they can comment below and I'll reach out to Dave and we'll get them answered for you. But again, thank you so much for your time and
Awesome.
have a good day.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.